we are here to celebrate, to launch Anna Calvi, South London singer, songwriter, guitar player, storyteller. I am the reviews editor at the Quietus. My name's Anna Wood. Our reviewer described the album as a hedonist's call to dismantle normative ideas surrounding gender, a vivid rumination on primal desire. I would add that it's a fleshy, sexy, grand album. It's got sassy, slinky hips, and it speaks with its chest puffed out, pummeling and marching, and sometimes creeping under your skin. Hopefully most of you heard it and you'll agree with me. Yeah. We're going to do a quick chat now, me and Anna, then there'll be time for some questions from you, and then there'll be a little gig. See what you're here for. And somewhere from the darkness, here she is.
Do we got your microphone? Hi everyone.
Hi. So this is I'd say it's a queer album and it's a feminist album. But it's also a reminder that queer and feminist aren't just abstract words, they're ways of being, they're ways of doing, and potentially I think they're ways of hunting. So I want you to tell us about that title. Are you a hunter? Are you hunting? Who are you hunting?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just want to see new depictions of women that remind me of the women that I actually know in my life. Women who are imperfect, women who are messy, women who are sexual without feeling shame. And so that's kind of why I called it Hunter. The hunter is the person who goes out into the world, the woman who goes out into the world and sees it as hers, and is the protagonist of her own story. And she is exploring her body and exploring her desire without feeling any shame for it. And it's strange that, you know, we have people who've gone on the moon and done all these amazing things, and yet still we're oppressed by these very archaic views of what a man can be and what a woman can be. And so I wanted to try and strip off all those layers of performance of our gender, be you a man or a woman or whoever you are. And what's the beating heart of a person underneath all of those layers?
So these ideas, I think about gender as a construct or as a performance, gender as drag, how we're naked underneath, or we've got the beating heart underneath, and all the rest is drag. Is I think Judith what they said, or RuPaul, I'm not sure which, maybe both of them. We've been talking about that for decades, but there does seem to be a shift recently, past few years. Are you feeling that shift? Do you think you're part of that shift? Are you enjoying it?
I think there has been a shift in that more people are talking about it now, which can only be a good thing. But I often get asked, is now the right time to have this conversation? And I would say that any time, it's always the right time to have this conversation. It's always the right time to think about how we want to bring boys and girls into the world. And also, you know, I think a lot about, you know, the position that boys and men are in this idea that they have to be somehow superhuman and not allowed to be vulnerable, and that it's not only other men that put that pressure on them. I think there are women too who have this idea that, you know, about what a man should be. And so I hope that it's always the right time to have this conversation.
Are people asking you that as if it's not the right time? Is that what they're implying?
No, I think it's just that because it's in the zeitgeist to talk about it, as if it's fashionable, and I guess that's not what it is for me. It's something I've thought about for years, and whether it was something that was currently discussed, I think I would have made the record either way. I didn't do it because of that. Obviously I was inspired to see other artists talk about these subjects, and inspired to see that, you know, people were talking about it more, but I wouldn't write a record for that. I wrote it for me.
Do you think if these conversations had been happening more when you were 10, 12, 15, would that have had an effect on yourself, your life?
I mean, I think I had my first feminist awakening when I was 8, and I was playing football with the boys, and I did a handball, and they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, she's just a girl, you know, and I was like, hang on a minute. And, you know, I think that was the beginning for me, and I was always doing stuff that the boys did. I played football, I played electric guitar, I had the 10 swords, I wanted to be a prince, you know, so I've never really conformed in the most kind of stereotypical way of what the girl was meant to be.
I like the idea of you having a first feminist awakening, and I'm now imagining what some of the others might be. Have you got any that?
Yeah, Noel Gallagher saying that girls can't play guitar. And I'd already learned all his solos when I was like 13. Yeah.
Do you feel like a different person when you're singing? You've talked before about your speaking voice and your singing voice, and I don't want to be binary about it, but they are different. Mm-hmm. Do you feel different when you sing?
I feel released when I sing. I feel any sort of cage that I might be in from, you know, my shyness. I feel thrust outwards and liberated, and it's a very honest, true, primal expression of something really deep in me, and it's very liberating.
There's a real openness, I think, in how you're singing. There's a real kind of generosity, I think, because it is visceral. You are letting it all out, which is either terrifying or powerful, I would imagine, for you, or neither of those things. How does that feel? It would scare the shit out of me to do that.
I mean, don't you find that sometimes the most scary things are the things that feel the most amazing? You know, so I guess that's what it is to be creative. It's like when you're taking a risk, it's really thrilling, and that's how making music should be. It's like, what's the point of doing it unless you're giving everything? Because it takes so much out of me emotionally. It's like, I don't want to do it, I'm all in, you know, like I'll give everything. And that's what I did for this record. I didn't save any little piece of myself to be safe. It's like, this is everything I have. And I felt really strong that that's what I wanted to do.
Does it feel to you like a more powerful record, or how would you describe the record as different to your previous 2 albums?
I think it's a difficult question. I should ask you.
It seems to me to be more big dick energy, walking into the rooms, owning it. Not that the others, but it has something about it that...
First of all, I just want to say this expression, big dick energy, as everything, you know, what I have a problem with is that the idea that, I mean...
I like it, I've got it,
no,
I like it.
No. Because, you know, it's saying that, you know, to be proud and to be strong and to be like, yeah, fucking yeah, you've got to have a dick. Well, I don't buy that for 1 second. Anyway, going back to your question.
Big labia energy. We need to change
big clit energy.
I did read recently that your clitoris, one's clitoris, is actually bigger than most dicks you've ever seen. I've been looking at it, it's all tucked in there. At least 12 inches of it.
Anyway. What was the question?
How does the album feel compared to the previous albums?
Well, I think I've given more, and I think I have more confidence in what I'm doing, and I wanted the lyrics to be more direct. I didn't want to hide behind any kind of poetry. I wanted to be able to say how I feel. I wanted the voice and the guitar to be these real wild creatures almost. This real kind of, just this feeling of freedom and openness. I think it has been there, but I feel that this time I really, pushed for it. And also, I think it's a record of pleasure of the body. I was really trying to work out how could I express pleasure in music, because I wanted that the music tells you that story. You don't have to listen to my lyrics, that the music is saying already the kind of the sentiment of the song and the emotion of the song.
There's a good power dynamic, I think, between the music and your lyrics on this. There's a prowling and a playfulness and a sexiness to it. Do you feel like you're part of a lineage musically? Because, plenty of people have talked about this before, the kind of the connections with, say, David Bowie, and also with Edith Piaf, I think, and with Grace Jones, and people who are, there's a kind of romance and power and playfulness around gender. Do you feel like you're part of that?
I am inspired by all those people that you mentioned, for sure, and I think that music's always an amazing way to kind of cross bridges and to break down binaries, whatever they are. And I think, in terms of like, when you mention those names, for me, it's like singers who really don't save anything for themselves. They give you everything in their voice, like someone like Edith Piaf. And that's the kind of singer I'm interested in. I want to hear a singer who sounds like they're just, this is the last song they're ever going to sing. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of singer I want to hear. And I think for some reason there's less of that in pop music now. So whenever I hear a singer like that, I'm always inspired.
That makes me think about the redness that you've been using and are using to great effect, and the kind of feeling of bleeding and the feeling of power and viscera that comes with that. Mm-hmm. Am I reading that right? Or is
I guess red has always been a colour that I've felt drawn to. For this record especially, because of the fact that what it makes me think of, flesh and, vulnerability and intimacy and danger and power and I guess sexuality and just all the possible things that red conjures up. It feels like if I had to say one colour, this record is red for sure.
And love and heart. There are love songs, I think, on this album, and it's a romantic album too, in some ways.
Yeah, it's romantic in the sense that it came from a place of me falling in love and exploring myself, exploring what I wanted. And it came during, from a difficult time that I had, going into something more positive and more fulfilling, and for a place that I was happier. And I wrote the record from that place. I don't think I could have written it if I'd been really down and, I was really miserable. I was having a new beginning in my life, and I think you can hear it on the record. I think that's where the openness comes from.
The generosity, I think, as well, yeah. You're a kind of romantic hero.
Thank you.
A romantic hero. How does it feel now that the album's out there? I feel like this album's doing a lot of things. I keep thinking there's a line, I opened the door I wanted to survive, that I think is kind of one of the keys to this album. Do you feel like you're walking taller now that this is out in the world?
Well, I'm 5'1", so it's never going to happen. I've accepted that. But I feel, it was a long time, that I hadn't put a record out. And, sometimes it's hard, like only the people most closest to me had heard these songs. And now that they're out, I feel this weight lifted off me, you know, it's like, finally I've done it, you know, and the response that I've seen from people so far is been really wonderful, and I feel really moved whenever someone, you know, says something about this record, because I gave so much of myself and my whole heart is in it. When I get something back, it just really makes me feel like, you know, wow, this is why, you know, why it feels so amazing to make music, as if you can just make someone feel just one molecule's worth better, you know, it feels so meaningful and so wonderful.
I think there's a romance in that too, actually, between you and the listener. We have got time for a few questions from the abyss that I can see in front of me. I would like that woman, who I think might have white glasses on, but I can't tell because it's too dark.
Is there anyone I'd like to collaborate with? I'd love to collaborate with Iggy Pop, because actually when I was making the record, I was always asking myself, what would Iggy Pop do? You know? And like, you know, like I like to imagine like myself as a female Iggy Pop on this record. And like, you know, the way his voice is, I think the combination would be pretty awesome.
He has that kind of playful, sexy energy that you have on his album.
Yes.
Just Iggy, just you and Iggy, no more
I
collaboration.
don't think you need anything else.
Young man at the front.
At your recent gigs, you've had some pretty intimate, up-close interactions with some of the audience members. Can you explain some of your motivations behind that decision?
So, I mean, the reason why I've had these kind of up-close moments with the audience is because I really wanted to break down that barrier between me and the audience. And I feel like the record it's so much about this contrast between like power and then extreme vulnerability. So I was thinking, how can I do that on the stage? And so I have a runway going into the audience, and that's a way of me getting kind of closer. And I feel that there's a risk taken for me and the person. It's like, if I'm coming towards you and my eyes are on you, you know, that might be quite intimidating for you. But also for me to be on the floor on my knees screaming, "Don't beat the girl out of my boy." And that, you know, that's such a kind of, you're witnessing something so raw and so kind of intimate in a way that's a risk for me. So I think it's quite a beautiful relationship that I can have with the audience with this particular show.
It's certainly very effective.
Two more.
Okay, right. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for a brilliant album. I really mean that. But you talk about gender. This is something which the gender is only in the West. It's in Western Europe and America, and you know, there are large parts of the world where it's not really being properly explored. What do you think your record says to those people, actually? You know, those people who aren't actually experiencing this. Does that make sense?
They aren't experiencing the freedom of West.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Well, some of them are, but most people aren't actually.
Well, obviously there are practical ways in which, you know, women, you know, in other parts of the world are way more restricted than Western women. But I feel that the problem, that the people who want to cover women up and the people who want to sexualise them, they are the same people. It's just they're dealing with controlling a woman in different ways. You know, and so, you know, I feel that I'm not telling anyone how to respond to my record. That's up to you. That's your journey. All I'm doing is expressing myself as a woman, expressing my experience of my sexuality, the things that I've been through as a queer person, and I offer it up with an open heart. And whoever it helps, great, and whoever it doesn't help, then I'm not for them. But I'm not being specific about who this is for. That's not my job.
One more question. From a woman. No women in here, I would need to say.
Don't beat the girl on my boy then. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
I think you're the greatest guitarist in the UK.
Thank you.
If you could name one guitar album that everyone in the whole world should listen to, if not the world, what would it be?
One guitar album. Oh no. Well, there's a John McLaughlin record called Extrapolation, which is a really amazing guitar record. And I got a lot of ideas from this record. I mean, it's incredible. So you should definitely check that out.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go over there. You're going to...
Yep. Understand you completely. If I was a man and all but my body, if I was walking and talking as a man, something's changed, no feeling Don't be the girl out of my boy. Don't be the girl out of my boy. Stare in the light, your green eyes. Don't be the girl out of my boy. So far with your head through my eyes. So far, keep me steady as we rise. Don't be the girl out of my boy. Don't be the girl out of my boy. Stare in the light, your green eyes. Don't be the girl out of my boy. So fine in a wondrous we ride. So high, like the darkest waves of night. So fine, there's no words just tonight. So high, like the darkest waves of night. Shout out, let us be Is this the moment sublime? You know I ask no more of it all. You know I ask no more of it all. There is no time through a life. There is no time to decide. Into the sky and time. You know I ask no of it all. You know I ask no more of it all. You know I ask no more of it all. You know I ask, just take it all. So much everyone for coming down and celebrating Hunter with me, and that's it, that's all I have to say. up if you're looking down. Crawling up if you're crawling down. Looking up if you're looking down. I want us in the air in paradise. I want us in the air in paradise again. Lost in the air, I lose my mind. I want us in the air in paradise.
Yay!
Thank you so much.